So this book describes itself as eclectic day trips by the Metro Railway. So I figured, let's pick a day trip and see how it goes. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to it if this is the first time you're seeing my face. Thank you for clicking on it, I really appreciate it. My name is Jacy and I like to do story times, chit chats, and rants on this channel. But today's video is gonna be like a combo of things. It's gonna be like a half challenge and a half story time about how it went. You guys will see how it goes. So I recently purchased a book that is essentially an LA adventure guide. And I thought, hey, it'd kind of be funny if I followed along one of their adventure days and see how it went. So that's what this video is gonna be about, just kind of documenting my day based on how this guide recommended. I do some touristy things around Los Angeles. So if you like videos like this, or if you like mostly just hanging out with me and seeing what I get up to in the City of Angels, then make sure to like this video and subscribe. It really helps me out and I'd love for you to join us for future videos. Also to my members, once again, thank you guys for being my YouTube members. I will have a new video dropping this week. And I'm gonna be revealing actually kind of a big secret to you guys that nobody else gets to know, because that's the content you're paying for, baby. So if you guys wanna become a member, my link is down in my description if you'd like to join for $5 a month. Again, thank you to all of my members who continue to support my channel. But with that being said, let's get started on this LA Adventure Guidebook. So a few months ago, I was thrift shopping and I came across this book called LA Adventures, Eclectic Day Trips by the Metro Rail through Los Angeles and beyond. I was really enticed by this book because I love the idea of giving you different activities and events to do in LA, but based on public transportation. I love that idea. Mostly because I can't parallel park, and parking in Los Angeles gives me extreme anxiety. So I love taking the metro, and so I was like, that's awesome that they're giving you all these different kind of touristy things to do in the city. So I bought this book for a whole $3. What a steal, ladies and gentlemen. And then as soon as I bought it, I realized it was published in 2012. So it's 10 years old now. There are some things that are out of date at this point or are closed in terms of some of the businesses, but it was still a really cool concept. So in this book, it gives you different types of day trips to do in LA and kind of the stops where you get off on the metro. So I immediately thought, well, I wanna do one of their entire day trips and see if it's feasible, see if it's fun, and see if it's kind of a great way to explore Los Angeles. So as I was flipping through the book, I noticed that some of their day trips included small little activities or events that I have already done before, probably through my LA bucket list videos, if you guys used to watch those. You know, things like go see the Hollywood Walk of Fame or get a hot dog at Pink's Hot Dogs. You know, I've done certain things like that. So I wanted to pick a day trip that included all things that I have never done before. So that's when I decided on their day 4, city views and salsa moves. Spoiler, they mean salsa dancing and not salsa the food. I was disappointed myself. But just a little sneak peek of what this day included is getting breakfast at a bakery, going to the Angels Flight, which is a small little train that you guys will recognize, visiting the Museum of Contemporary Art, doing an architectural lunch stroll, going to a Korean day spa, getting dinner at this one restaurant, and then going salsa dancing at night. So it was a jam-packed day for what they're planning for us, but I was like, you know what? We're just gonna send it. We're just gonna go for it, plan for the whole day. Let's freaking go. So the day arrives, I wake up at the freaking crack of dawn. It was probably only like 8 in the morning, but I am not a morning person, you guys. It was rough. So I wake up, I get ready, and I head to my nearest metro stop, and I buy a day pass. Now, this is great about the metro, is the day pass was only $3.50, which is amazing because a one-way trip is $1.75. So if you're just going somewhere and back, the day pass already pays for itself, but you get to keep hopping off and on all you want. So that was such a great deal. So I hop on the metro train, I take the red line all the way into 7th and Metro in downtown LA. And our first stop was going to get breakfast at Hygge. That's how you say it, right? Yep, Hygge. So Hygge is Danish for coziness, for the good life, for living la vita dolce. That's not even a Danish accent. I don't know what that was. Basically, it's like pure contentment. And this bakery, I guess, is super well known for not only its delicious pastries, but just offering that sense of comfort and coziness that the Danes can bring you. So right away, I was kind of like, oh, maybe this book isn't super well planned out, because I got off on my metro stop and I had to walk 25 minutes to get to this bakery. And I was like, you couldn't find a bakery closer to the metro stop, but you know, it was an iconic bakery, I guess, so we'll make the trek. So I head to Hygge Bakery, and one of the things that this book recommends is getting their croissant and coffee special. Sure enough, right there on the blackboard was their special for a ham and cheese croissant with a coffee. So I knew right away I had to get that. This book definitely talks up the bakery a lot. Like, let me read you a little excerpt. I guess all it says is, the ham and cheese croissant is a standout. That's all it says. Actually, no, let me read this. It says, their pastries are unlike anything you've sampled at your local Dunkin' Donuts. They're lighter than oxygen, and the 27 mouth-melting layers that are painstakingly feathered into spandure, what we usually call a Danish, will make you truly appreciate the baker's art. It was a ham and cheese croissant. It was good. It was super affordable. It hit the spot. Was it the best ham and cheese croissant I've ever had? No. But in their defense, I don't remember the best ham and cheese croissant I've ever had. But for $5.50, it was a good deal. It got me full for breakfast, and I'm glad that it got me out into an area that I've never actually been before. So that was kind of a benefit. Our next stop was actually the stop that I was most excited for. It was going to the Angel's Flight. So the Angel's Flight is a very iconic mini train railway here in Los Angeles, most iconically featured in La La Land, if you've seen that. And it's kind of just like a silly thing to do in LA. In terms of transportation, it is as useless as a pogo stick in quicksand, because it literally just takes you up a block. It lasts less than a minute, but it's fun, okay? And I've never been, and I was really excited to go. So I start walking over there. Again, it was like another 20 minutes in the opposite direction, and I'm thinking, this isn't a metro tour, this is a foot walking tour. Just say so. But it's all right. I walk all the way to Angel's Flight and I go to buy my ticket. Now I saw a sign saying that tickets were $1, but they're 50 cents if you have your Metro tap card. So I had my day pass, so I handed it to her. She scans it and she says, oh, I'm sorry, there's no balance on this. And I was like, oh shoot, yeah, it's just a day pass. Here, let me get you $1. And she told me, well, since you actually just showed us the tap card, you still get the discount, so it's only 50 cents. So I was like, that's awesome. I'm already getting discounts on discounts just by doing this day pass, which was pretty cool. So how it works is that you only pay per way that you go. So I know I'd be taking the train down the hill and then back up the hill. So I just paid $1 knowing that I kind of paid for 2 trips. So I walk into the train as it's about to board, and there are some people on the train as well, but I get a front row seat, and then the train goes and it's just like a train that takes you down the hill. It is not fast. It is not exhilarating. It's not even really that good of a sightseeing tour, but it's fun, okay? I had a great time. I get to the bottom of the hill, and then I kind of have just like a little mini photo shoot of me with the Angel's Flight sign, because again, this is kind of a very iconic landmark in Los Angeles, despite it being a completely useless form of transportation. Then after a few quick selfies, I hop back onto the train and I make my way up, and I try not to embarrass myself as I am taking photos of myself in a very crowded train car. And then afterwards, it was kind of a gloomy day, and so I had another photo shoot like at the top of this Angel's Flight area, just with it in the background, because I was like, ooh, orange is part of my Instagram colors. Let me get some cute pics. And it was so silly. It was just kind of like a fun way to go out and get photos, do something very iconic in Los Angeles. It took, I kid you not, like less than 15 minutes for the whole part of this activity. But I had such a great time, and I wanted to emphasize that to you guys, that if you're just in downtown LA, go check out the Angel's Flight. It's so silly, but so fun. The next stop was visiting the Museum of Contemporary Art. Now, I was excited for this because I am not a big art connoisseur. I appreciate art, but what I don't know about art could like fill 2 internets. I like art, but I'm just not like passionate about it. I'm not like, oh my God, I totally get it, you know? But I do know that I like contemporary art because that's something that I could see myself hanging up in my living room, or that's something that I can understand whatever they're trying to evoke. So I go to the Museum of Contemporary Art, and I had actually the day before booked a time slot to go because everything is timed nowadays because of the pandemic. So I arrived at my time slot and they kind of let me know, okay, this wing of the museum is under reconstruction, so only this wing is open. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem. Now I set myself lots of time at this museum. I set myself hours and hours because when I go to a museum, I want to see everything, I want to read everything, and I want to have a good time. I walk into the Museum of Contemporary Art and I was kind of befuddled because I was like, first of all, this is really small and there wasn't that many pieces of art. It was like as if they had like a giant wall and there was just one piece of art, you know? Like I was like, you could have used the space a little bit better, but no big deal. So I'm walking around the museum and I was like, I thought I liked contemporary art. I don't know, like something about this I was a little disappointed in it. And I was like, I could do that. Or there was this one part where it was just a big sheet of metal. And I think the piece was even called Sheet of Metal. And I was like, okay, I don't know, like nothing was inspiring me to take a photo of it or be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Or whoa, like this is so fun and funky. And so I spent, you guys, 20 minutes in this museum, 20 minutes. I think I set aside 3 hours to be at this museum. And a reason for that was they just didn't have that many art pieces. They didn't have that many art pieces that inspired me or excited me a lot. And half of the museum was closed itself. So I only got to explore really this one wing. So I made it back to the entrance within 20 minutes and I was like, oh, that was it? Oh, I'm a little disappointed. But fear not, you guys, that's not the end of the art. No, no, no. I walk outside and I start kind of walking because I was like, well, shoot, I have a few hours to kill. What should I do? Literally right across the street, I start seeing some flagpole banners for the Broad and it says free general admission. So I was like, what's the Broad? Isn't that a museum too? I give it a goog and it said it is a modern art museum. And so I was like, well, I got time, and they had time slots available because again, you kind of had to pre-reserve this. They had a time slot in the next 15 minutes. So I immediately reserved my ticket and I went to the Broad. So I walk into the Broad and right away I'm like, oh, this is the modern art that I like. I don't know if there's a difference between contemporary art or modern art or if they're kind of interchangeable, but the Broad Museum, which again was not part of my book, was exactly what I was looking for. You walk in and there is a giant balloon animal sculpture. There are graffiti type paintings. There are sculptures and more interactive elements. I went to this one area where you look inside and it's as if you're living inside a kaleidoscope, which was so cool. I really liked that one. They had a bunch of Andy Warhols, and I'm a big fan of that pop art kind of cartoony style. And then you kind of get funneled in through similar artists where it is very much that kind of like funky and cool vibes where I was like, I like this. I get it now. That's just me. Don't come for me if you're like a Baroque or a Impressionist kind of person. I enjoy those too, but it is the modern art that I get really jazzed about where I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like that, you know? So I don't know. So I spent about 2 hours in the Broad, having a grand old time, taking photos. I was making reels, having a good time. And so I would definitely recommend between the two, if you have a certain amount of time, check out the Broad. I preferred that one much better. And they're both free. So maybe you can check out both if you're in the area, but that one was definitely kind of like scratch that itch that I was looking for in terms of art. The next item on our LA Adventures list was to take an architectural stroll and grab lunch near the Biltmore Hotel. Now, the Biltmore is kind of a fancy schmancy historic hotel in downtown Los Angeles. And so I don't know if it was different times when this book was written, probably, but it's not really something that you can just comfortably go walking around, you know? I walked up and I was kind of in this one little lobby and I was taking video and photo being like, yeah, it's a pretty ceiling, very nice. But the area that they're talking about in terms of the architectural stroll is basically in the main lobby of the hotel. But when you get to the entrance, there's kind of a guard being like, hi, are you a hotel guest? And I was like, no, I just want to grab videos. And he said the entrance is basically for hotel guests only, which makes total sense, you know, especially in COVID times when social distancing is an issue. But it's also like, no, you can't just come in here and take photos and leave. I don't know. It made sense. But based on what this book said, I couldn't do any of those things. I couldn't walk around and enjoy the architecture. So that one was kind of a fail. So afterwards, I just went and grabbed lunch in the area. I just got like a poke bowl. I love poke. It's like deconstructed sushi, and I just eat sushi all the time. So that was about $11 for my lunch, and that was kind of the end of my afternoon. So then I had to hop back on the metro and take it to Wilshire and Normandy on the Purple Line for the next activity. Mind you, this was only the second time I even hopped on the train. All the other times I was kind of just walking around. So again, it really wasn't that train heavy. It only really got me into downtown LA. But then I headed to Koreatown for our next activity, which was to go to a Korean spa. I have always wanted to go to a Korean spa, mainly because the culture of them is very different than American spas in that they are not modest, is how I will describe them. They're naked basically. And my brother's girlfriend, Jenny, she's Korean, and she would always tell me about going to these Korean spas growing up and how it is very empowering and liberating, and how she was saying like, we should go sometime. And I was like, yes, absolutely, I've been wanting to go. So this popped up on my travel guide and I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. Now, this is where the big issue in terms of the publication date of this book coming into play versus reality. So in this book, it says, oh yeah, go to the Wilshire Spa. It's only $20 to enter and you get to enjoy all of the amenities. That is not the case anymore. The Wilshire Spa is now called Spa LA, and it's definitely more of an elevated luxury experience.
I failed to mention here, but it's a women's only spa. That is very important for the following story.
Most Korean spas are open 24 hours. This one is not. They have a certain set of hours of operation, and they currently don't do general admission tickets. They only do services that include admission. So I'm looking at their website the night before I went on this trip, and I was like, crap, I gotta book a service. Like, this was not part of the plan, but I committed to this video, I committed to the idea, and I was like, I guess I'm booking a service. So you guys, I booked a massage for $115. I know. That one hurt my piggy bank, but I kind of had to justify it in the sense of like, you know what? I deserve it. I deserve some self-care. Hey, it's a tax break. It's for a video. It's not. I don't think it is a tax break. But I was like, no, I'm gonna support this business and I'm gonna book a $115 massage. So I head to Spa LA and you walk in and the aromas are already so relaxing and comforting. There's soft music playing, and I check in with the front desk and she was like, first time? And I was like, yeah. So she hands me a key to my locker and she said, okay, you're number 33. That's kind of how you'll be referred to basically throughout this whole experience. And she was like, enjoy. And I was like, oh, downstairs? Okay. So I go downstairs and immediately I see everybody in like these cute pink robes walking around. And I'm kind of looking around and I ask a person, I was like, excuse me, like where do I get the robes? And she said, everything's in your locker. Go to your locker. And I was like, duh. So I go to my locker, I open up my locker and it has everything that I need. It has my cute pink robe. It has nice little sandals. It has a towel and a hair towel. And so I was kind of like, okay, like this is kind of cool. Let me get into my robe and explore a little bit before I really dive deep into my services. Now, mind you, my massage was scheduled for 6 p.m. I was there at probably like 5:15 because they told me to get there early. And so I had some time to kill, so I wanted to do some exploring without actually getting into any of the treatments. So I get into my cute little robe and I start walking around, and that's when I realized there was essentially 9 different areas. And the first area was all jacuzzis. So I popped my head into the jacuzzis and everybody's naked. Everybody's naked here. The whole time, everybody's naked. Just keep that in mind. And they had like different little jacuzzis for everything. Then there was a sauna. Then there was a steam room. Then you go into this other wing and they had these wild rooms where it was like a salt room, a jade room, an ionic infrared room. And then there was another one that was like some ion balancing room and then a tea room. They just had all these different cool little sections where I was like, I'm gonna be here as long as I can to get the most out of all of this and make back my money for my $100 massage. There was also a really cute area with some water, tea, coffee, and a few little healthy snacks. So I grabbed myself a tea and I kind of just hung around and waited for my massage to begin. So she calls me, she's like, 33? And I was like, ooh, that's me. So I go and I get my massage and it was great. It was a nice massage. I personally think she could have gone a lot harder. I think they were emphasizing the relaxation where I was like, you dig out those muscles, you roll out those knots in my back, get rid of them. But no, it was just like a very nice massage. So you also do tip, it's customary to tip. So I did tip her on top of the actual service itself. So again, kind of pricey. But after my hour-long massage, it was 7 o'clock, and I was like, all right, they close at 9 p.m. I have 2 hours to get my money back. Let's do it. So I disrobe and I head into the naked part of all the jacuzzis. Now, a really cool thing is that every jacuzzi kind of had a specific purpose or some sort of like pH levels or something inside of it that gave it some sort of antioxidant benefits, whatever it was. So they made you shower every single time you went into a new jacuzzi. And the reason for that was that so that you eliminate any kind of cross-contaminations of the pH of this one into the pH of this one. The other reason for that is that that's why you have to be naked, is that there are certain swimsuits and fibers that kind of ruin the pH or they kind of contaminate what they're putting in the water. So that's why it is not very modest. So I go and I shower and I hop into the first jacuzzi. And then I kind of just start the pattern of, okay, I spent my 10 minutes in here. Let me go rinse off again, try the next jacuzzi. And that's when I'm like spending all my time in the spa, you guys. And the best way I can describe it is I have never felt safer in my entire life than being surrounded by all of these women who are just in the buff, relaxing and taking care of themselves. Like it was, I get what Jenny was telling me in the sense that it is so liberating and so empowering. Because when you're in that space and everybody's naked, it's as if nobody's naked. Nobody's looking at each other's bodies. There's no judgment going on. You're just there to relax for yourself. And I fully felt that. And it felt so cool. And the other thing is that because it's all women, I knew they were all following the rules. I knew that it was so clean. You guys, it was spotless in there. It was so clean. Everything was so fresh that I was like, I know everybody's following the rules. And so I know I'm getting the most out of this experience just jacuzzi hopping. It was so cool. It was also nice because there was such a diversity of people there, you know, not only in like ethnicities or nationalities, but also just like the languages being spoken, the different types of bodies, the age ranges. It really felt so inclusive. And it kind of felt like this weird female empowering utopia. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was just a really cool thing. So then from there, you know, I went into the sauna, sweated it out a little bit, went into the steam room, continued to sweat it out. And at this point, I only had an hour left. And I was like, shoot, I still got to go to all the dry side of all of the things. You know, I did all the wet stuff. Now time to do the dry stuff. So I go into this one room and I do the Himalayan salt room. I was way too into this whole self-care thing to even read what all this stuff did. But I don't know, Himalayan salt balances your electrolytes or something like that. It was so fun. It was so silly. It was kind of just like sitting in a bunch of rocks, but you're still sweating and kind of feeling like you're getting out all the toxins. Then I go into this next room and it was like sitting in a bathtub of Cocoa Pebbles. Like they were like these weird mud balls, I guess, but they're like super solid. So it's not like there was any mud getting on you. But again, just another way to like relax and let the balls kind of like massage you as you're laying down. And I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but that's the only way to describe it. It was just so cool. And just like another kooky little thing where I was like, I don't know what this is doing, but it's fun. Can you tell how excited I'm getting? This was like the highlight of the whole day. And then lastly, I check out the ionic infrared sauna room. I go to the tea room and I do some stretching and relaxation. And that was kind of it for the day. And at this point, it was 8:45. They closed in 15 minutes. And I was very hyper aware of what time they closed because when I walked in, they actually had a sign saying that you get charged $1 per minute that you stay over, which is so funny to me. Because could you imagine if like a restaurant did that? I would love if I was working at the Cheesecake Factory and I'd be like, all right, time's up. I'm charging you $1 every second that you stay over at this table, so get going. So I grab a little clementine for the road, a little cup of tea. I get redressed, I take my last mirror selfies, and I leave LA Spa at 8:57 p.m. I got the most out of that day, and honestly, I could have stayed there longer, but I was there for over 3 hours, and I could have spent more time there. That's how cool and luxurious and fun this whole experience was. It was just so cool. So now here's where some of my criticisms of this specific book come into play. They kind of suggested that I go to this Korean spa, which, heck yeah, great suggestion. Not something that I would have done on my own, but I'm so glad I did. It is absolutely something that if I am making dollar bills, honey, I will be going there regularly. But I had to shower, you guys, like 12 different times when I was at this spa. But now I was expected to hop on the metro and go to dinner and go dancing. So nowhere in this book is it like, you know, bring a change of clothes or bring your makeup. Nowhere does it account for the fact that, okay, I'm gonna wanna now get ready to go out to dinner and out for drinks. But I also just spent 3 hours at a spa fully relaxing. I wanna go home and sleep. I'm done for the day. I'm not ready to go out for the night. And if I did, I'd wanna be able to stop back at home to get ready and get changed. Like, it doesn't say bring a backpack with a change of clothes. So that was one thing where I was like, well, I know I live in LA and I could just go home if I wanted to do that. But the whole point of this is using the metro to get around. So the next stop that it suggests was going to the Hungry Cat. The Hungry Cat is a pretty famous restaurant here in LA that closed down during the pandemic. It was actually really sad because I have heard of this actual restaurant, but they just couldn't survive the global shutdown, which is such a shame. So I'm reading this and then I was like, all right, well, we're just gonna have to skip the dinner or figure out dinner along the way. But then our next item, you guys, was to go out salsa dancing at El Floridita, which was up in North Hollywood, which again would be kind of a trek to take by the metro. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, mainly because I have to. I was too tired. I was like, I just relaxed like a cherub in heaven for the past 3 hours. I am not about to put on my hoe clothes and go grind up on some strangers at a salsa bar. No. So I did not complete the day. I didn't do the last 2 items, which were to go out to a restaurant and then go salsa dancing. Instead, I headed home. I went to my same cheap sushi place that I always go to, picked up some food, and called it a night. So I failed, technically, but I had a great time. And that's kind of all that matters, right? Final thoughts. Did the LA Adventure Guide give me an adventure in LA? Absolutely. I think that it made me branch out and kind of experience some events and activities that I probably didn't even have on my radar before, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, I would absolutely recommend some of those things to a friend. Hygge, great for a cheap breakfast. Not the best I've ever had, but great if you're in the area. Angel's Flight, so silly, so fun, had a great time. Museum of Contemporary Art, Broad, yes, check out the Broad. Architectural Stroll, that didn't really work. Korean Spa, you guys, if you just want to splurge on yourself and go hardcore into self-care, check out a Korean Spa. It was the highlight of my day and something that I didn't really expect to be super comfortable with, but I have never felt safer and I've never had a better time relaxing. I had a great time. I think this book kind of fails to account for certain little things, but again, I live in the area, so it wasn't such a big deal. But, you know, plan ahead if you are following a guide like this. Think about all of the little things. Think about the reservations that you need to make. Think about any changes of clothes or changes of shoes that you might need to bring, because that is kind of important if you are just fully traveling by Metro Rail throughout the entire day. So that was my video, kind of like a weird little challenge in terms of LA Guidebook determines my day, but also telling it to you in a storytime format and kind of reviewing that way. So let me know your guys' thoughts on this video. Did you like the concept, or would you like me to do another day from this book? Because there are a ton of ideas and a ton of day trips in this book. So I would be happy to go out and get another massage for you guys. If that's what you guys want me to do, is to go out and get massages and get beauty treatments, I could make that sacrifice for you guys, but only if you ask, you know? So that's gonna be it for today's video. I thank you guys so much for watching and sticking around for this long. And I will see you in the next LA adventure or video. Toodles! But I recently purchased a book. I purchased a book, you guys. I'm smart. Let me start over. Golly. This is gonna be rough.